Hello, welcome to Slow Flow Sunday with Leah here at Yoga for Love Online Healing Arts Center and Community. I'm so excited to have you with me today, and I am not live. For some reason, it is not going, so I will post this recording to the group later as well as on my YouTube. So thank you so much for being here. So we'll start sitting today because we're going to work on very specific things. Make sure you have your folded blanket to sit upon to elevate your hips just slightly. It can feel a lot more comfortable that way. Something to drink. Paper sets from last night. And a strap and a block. Oh, I forgot my block. Sorry about that. I usually have them all out, but I put them away because my puppy started eating them today. So I put them away. Block, at least one. And we may not get to that, but I just want to make sure you have it just in case. Okay, so if you don't have a strap, you can also use a plain leather belt like you would wear with your pants, or even a like a robe tie can be okay. But a yoga strap with the D-ring and everything is so convenient, so easy to get. So I really recommend you do that. Today we're going to work a little bit on balance. It's so important to have an overall balanced life. And it can be really challenging to achieve that sense of balance, which is something that, can a lesson that we can get from most yoga classes, because there's usually a balance portion at some point in time. You do a little bit of balancing, and it takes some grit and some determination, and it takes some tenacity to push through. Whether you can balance really well or not, just to even try it says a lot about your your determination. And so we're going to work on a lot of balances today, but what we're really thinking about is balancing out our life. And I don't think of, go ahead and start settling down, by the way, while I'm talking you through this. Start really grounding down into the earth, feeling through that place where your body connects to the mat beneath you as we settle in. Oh, yay, someone jumped on. Welcome. And when we think about balance in our life, there's so many different things that we want to do. We have to have time for work, we have to have time for rest, and we have to have time for play. But sometimes it gets like, I'm just supposed to do all three every day, and I need 30% for this and 30% for that and 30% for that. And that's just not how life goes. Sometimes we're going to spend a lot of time in work, especially depending on the type of person you are. And sometimes we're going to spend a lot of time in play, like several days, or in rest for several days. And that's okay. Wherever you are at right now, just remember that life will always balance itself back out. Becoming tuned in and aware of that balance is really all you have to do to kind of achieve that sense of balance. Once we start to lose the focus and the wide view of the fact that, yes, I do all of these things in my life, that's when things start to get hard. Hi, Bonnie, how are you? Good to see you. So we're going to start with a little balancing breath, a little pranayama. We'll do our alternate nostril breathing. A couple of options. I like to use the mudra, where you take your right hand and you fold down the first two fingers, and it's a little bit challenging. I can't make them curl all the way down, but you just kind of get them out of the way. And so you have your ring finger and your thumb up. If you want to, you can even kind of wrap the pinky and the ring finger around each other a little bit. I hope you can see that. I'm kind of far away, but you get the idea. And then you hold your elbow out to the side, because we want to make space for the rib cage to expand. And we're going to start by closing off the right nostril and inhaling on the left side. So you inhale as deeply as you can, and then pause at the top of your breath. Then you're going to shift your whole arm over to close the left nostril and exhale out through the right side. Go all the way down to the bottom of your breath, and then inhale again on the same side. Then you move your whole arm over as you pause at the top of your breath to close off that right nostril and exhale on the left. So keep on going with this pattern. You exhale and then inhale on the same side, and then switch. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your elbow up. You want to make sure that you're exhaling completely, inhaling completely, Finding that pause and then switching sides. And this balances us, balances out the sides of the body. The energy flows on each side of the body, balances out the nostrils. You might find that you need a tissue afterwards. That's okay. And switching back and forth. We're just going to do about 5 rounds. Do one more. Ending on an inhale. And then you can release your hand. You might need to move it a little bit after holding that mudra. And then just notice how the breath flows through your body. Maybe notice how your nostrils feel. Noticing your hand, you might feel a little discomfort or a little bit of energy flowing through the hand that was holding the mudra the entire time. Hi, I don't know what happened there. Hopefully I'm back on. My computer is like really giving me a hard time today. So we're gonna lay on our backs now. Hopefully I'm back on. Still not live on Facebook, but whatever. That's fine. So you can go ahead and, am I unmuted? Hopefully this is working. Who knows? I'm gonna give up the Facebook Live thing and see if that helps. Happening with my computer. I do not know why this is happening. Okay. Okay, I think we're back. Who knows? I'm recording, so this will be fun. All right, we're gonna go onto our backs now and just work on our pelvic alignment before we start on our class movements and flows, because it's really important that we engage and connect to proper alignment. So when you lie down, bend your knees, feet are flat on the floor, little space, and you want to notice kind of how the spine is sitting right now. So right away, I can always unmute. Okay, I don't understand why it keeps doing that. It says I'm unmuted and then it says I'm muted. Okay, so I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna get really close so that I can keep changing. I'm gonna use this instead. So we're gonna lay on our backs. And what you're gonna do is just settle into your exhales first. Noticing how you exhale and you start to sink down into your exhale. And then we'll start to gather up those belly muscles. So start to feel the pelvic floor turn on as you exhale and start to push the air from the bottom up, like you're pressing into the diaphragm. The diaphragm pushes upward to express the air, to exhale. So think about just that low belly creating that push. And when you do that, your pubic bone will naturally start to kind of pull up towards the navel. Only on the exhale. When you inhale, you just kind of soften and relax. And then exhale pulls it up. And it really just takes this little bitty, tiny tilt into the pelvis. Your hamstrings may activate slightly to help assist in that movement. And what you're thinking about is taking that tailbone and reaching it long and bringing the pubic bone up just slightly. And you do it on the exhale and really feel the belly engage. So we'll just do a few breaths like that. Inhale, totally soften, release, let go. And you may notice your pelvis stays in alignment after you practice a few rounds of breath. Exhale. Inhale, just open, make space. Let your belly be soft so your diaphragm can move down. Exhale, push the diaphragm up from the low belly, like you're zipping up a zipper. There's a couple more breaths like that.
Okay, now let go of the breath and just let your breath return to natural and notice how that feels. Notice where your spine is sitting. It might have lined up a little bit more. It might not have. That's okay. If this is a new breath practice for you, it can be difficult to start to feel it. And then we'll do a little bit of Apanasana. So bring your knees up to meet your hands. And a couple options here. You can keep your hands over the tops of your knees or come around from the side. And your knees can be together or they can be very wide. So whatever feels comfortable for you in this space. And we're going to do that same thing. So your knees are not going to move. Your legs aren't going to move. Just your pelvis will move. And you inhale here. As you exhale, you really pull that pubic bone up towards the navel. So we make it a little bit more dramatic with this. And then your elbows will soften and your knees will slightly shift. And you can really feel the belly tightening. Inhale, the knees float away as you make space, the elbows straighten. Exhale, draws it in. Just a little bit. Can really kind of help to feel that engagement in the low belly. Okay, we're still live. That's very exciting. Not live on Facebook, but live. At least Zoom didn't bail out on me. That's so good. Okay, well, finishing up wherever you're at, then releasing the hands from the knees. You can place your hands down on your belly, whatever feels good, and just notice how that feels. When we do our slow flow, it's important to remember that the pause is just as important as the posture. So we have to really let ourselves tune into how our body feels between the movements. Okay, I'm gonna risk it. I'm going back over to my big mat. Okay, rolling over very gently, come up to all fours. And I like to use a blanket under my knees because I'm on a hardwood floor and it hurts. But you do whatever works for you. And we're gonna bring our wrists, generally speaking, up underneath the shoulders, knees, generally speaking, underneath the hips. Of course, if you have any wrist issues, you can take your hands a little bit wider than your shoulders or a little bit farther in front of your shoulders. That can alleviate some of that pressure. You can also use a cushion or padding. From here, we're gonna practice that same breath. So as you inhale, soften your belly. As you exhale, draw the navel up towards the spine and pull the pubic bone towards the navel. Once you get that position where your back is in alignment and you can feel your spine straight and you look like a lovely table, we're going to hold the pelvis in place. So don't tilt your pelvis at all. And on your next inhale, just lift your head, lift your chest. Your weight will shift slightly over your fingertips. As you exhale, we're going to slide all the way back. Let your elbows come down to the mat, hips come down to your heels, and lower your forehead. Inhale, come all the way back up. Keep your pelvis in alignment. Lift your head, lift your chest. Exhale, slide all the way back. Elbows lower, hips lower, forehead lowers. Inhale to rise up. And you could be going slower than me or a little bit faster. Keep it gentle. This is slow flow. Exhale, elbows, hips, forehead. Inhale, rising up. And exhale back down. We're going to do one more round and then we'll pause. Inhale up. And exhale back into our little child's pose. It's not a true child's pose. It's more like a childlike pose. And just kind of settle in here. If you want to take a different posture here, you can. If you need to go a little bit wider, you want to support your head with your fists. And I'm going to talk about what we're going to do next. We're going to do that same thing again, except when we come up into the sunbird, we're going to just lift into our tabletop balance. So we'll lift one arm and the opposite leg. And just be where you're at with this practice. So you may want to lift only your arm. You may want to just tap the floor if you can't lift them all the way up. It's totally fine to just be with whatever your body is at this time. And we're going to switch back and forth. So we'll pull up, go into our balance, come all the way back down, pull up, go into our balance on the opposite side, okay? So on your next inhale, Rising back up, shift your weight so you can lift out one arm and the opposite foot. Exhale, bring those down, come all the way back down, elbows, hips, forehead. Inhale to rise up, shift your weight to the other side, and do the other balance side. Exhaling down. We're going to go through this a few times, so just going at your breath pace. Inhaling up to switch. And after about 3 times on each side, we're going to hold our balance. So coming all the way down on your exhale. Inhale all the way up, shift your weight, reach. And of course, you can just come here and then go back down. One more time, full out from wherever you're at on both sides. Still working. Inhaling up and exhaling down, making sure that your pelvis stays in that alignment. And on your next time to come up, inhale, come up and hold in your balance posture. Breathe nice and strong in the belly, making sure that back leg is not too high. And you can be pointing out through yogi toes, like you're wearing high heels, and you're pressing the ball mount of the foot away, or you can flex that back foot and really focus on the back line, turning on the glutes. So whatever you feel like you need today. Couple more breaths. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, bring it down. And then we're going to switch sides. All the way to the child's pose and then all the way back up into the other side. And hold for a few breaths here. Again, checking in with what you want your foot to be doing. Maybe play with it. Maybe it feels easier in one position than the other, and depending on what level of challenge you want for yourself today. One more deep inhale. And exhale, bring it down and come all the way back. Elbows lower, hips lower, forehead lowers. And hold here. Pause in this position and take a moment to notice how your body feels. And we're going to be here for a second. So if you want to make an adjustment, if you want to take your knees wide, or you want to bring your arms underneath your forehead or reach them out farther and really take a stretch, whatever you need in your child's pose right now. And notice where your breath sits. Notice how your pelvis feels. Notice how you feel about being in balance. Okay, we're going to come all the way up now. Tuck the toes under. Removing props and inhale to stand. And then taking a moment to settle into mountain. You know, you can stand in your mountain whatever feels best for you. So sometimes it feels better to have your feet together, and sometimes it feels better to have some space between your feet so they line up right underneath your hips. I encourage you to work with whatever works best for you. And soften your fingers, wiggle your fingers, bounce your shoulders, soften your knees, and exhale into that pubic tilt so you can feel the low belly turning on and hold it there. You can also think of it like the tailbone reaching away, lengthening out through the crown of the head, and then finding a focal point on the wall in front of you. Something that's not going to move. And we're going to inhale, float the arms up to the side slowly. So think flow here, like you're floating on water. Make sure you can see your hands in your peripheral vision. And then exhale, we're going to float them back down. Okay, again, think peripheral vision. Make sure you can see your hands. So we're not stretching our chest. We're going to do that again. This time we're going to shift our weight into our toes. That's it. Just shift your weight. And exhale back. Arms float down. Weight comes even. Inhale again. Float the arms up. This time as you shift your weight, start to lift up your heels. And you can lift them just a tiny bit to start. We're going to
parikrama it. And exhale all the way back down, centering out your weight. Again, inhale up, noticing your hands and your peripheral, and then coming up on your toes, maybe a little higher. And you do not have to do that. If shifting your weight to your toes is all the balance that you have in you today, then you can stop there. Exhale to come back, finding that center. Inhale, this time coming into as high as you can go, up onto your tippy toes, and we're going to pause here. Again, you don't have to be on your tippy toes if it's too hard and you want to just keep your weight forward. Stay there. As you exhale, stay here, but just kind of soften through the arms. As you inhale, reach tall. Maybe you go up a little higher on your tippy toes. Staying up, exhale, just soften a little. Keep your heels off the floor if that's where you're at today. One more. Inhale up. And exhale, this time lower all the way down. Floaty float the arms like they're coming through water. And then relax here, finding your strong mountain, wiggle your fingers, and take a pause. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes while you stand, close your eyes. If not, just look down to view that visual cortex, to look inward into the body. And notice where you feel the tingles. Notice where you feel the vibration moving through you. That's your prana. That's your life force. Okay, and we're just going to bring our hands right to our heart center in Anjali Mudra prayer. Inhale here. And exhale, sit back into a little chair, taking a small chair. I encourage you to keep it small, even if you're super strong. And you can squeeze your legs together if that feels more comfortable. And another thing that might feel good is to take a block between the knees. Also, just an option, okay? So you're taking your little chair. We're just going to take about 5 breaths here. I want you to feel your weight into your heels. The low belly is lifted. And breathe here. Couple of breaths here. Think about lengthening out through the spine. Wiggle your toes so you can really feel like your weight is into your heels, kicking into the back line. And then inhale to stand all the way up. And release your hands. Take a moment, pause, noticing how that feels. Maybe you can feel it in the belly or the legs. Okay, now we're going to take this one really slow too. I'm trying to pull my pants up. I love these pants, but they're really baggy. So bringing our hands back into our heart center Anjali Mudra, we're going to shift our weight to one foot. It doesn't matter which foot. We're going to do both sides. So pick one. Then lift the other heel. Then you're going to take that heel and just lay it across the toes of the bottom foot. And we're going to stay here for just a second. Even if you're super balancy, flexi yogi, I want you to just try this for a second and notice how it feels. Feel that pubic bone shifting forward, that wrap around like your inner thighs, the adductors are trying to pull open to the front. Belly is tight and lifted, okay? So we really tune into the small movements here first. And you can be happy here. And you can stay here in your little baby tree. You can even lift your arms up. If you would like to go a little bit further, you can bring your foot up to your ankle or up to your calf. I do not recommend going any farther than that for this practice. Make sure if you bring your knee out that you're really wrapping it open, turning on that quad and that glute on that side, and maybe bringing your arms up. And just taking it gentle today. That's what slow flow is about, feeling the smaller movements. Noticing the belly being firm and the pubic bone drawing up and forward. Taking one more breath here. And exhale, release, shake them out. And we're going to pause. I want you to take a moment and feel the difference from one side to the other. The standing leg will have different places where you felt that than the leg that was out to the side. And then shifting your weight to the other foot. Pick up the other heel, opposite side now, and start by just placing it gently over the toes.
bringing your hands up to heart center, and tune into the pelvic alignment. Feel that wrap out of the adductors, like the inner thighs are trying to press forward. Pubic bone is pulling up. Belly is on, nice and tall. Just take a moment here and feel into all of that. And then maybe you want to bring your foot out to your ankle or up to your calf, and really wrapping that bent knee around, like you feel the quad trying to pull back into the glute on that side, really pressing it nice and wide open. Although I encourage you to keep it small, maybe bring the arms up. And just breathe. Really tune in. Sometimes it can be harder to balance in something smaller when you're used to pushing yourself to the very edge. Really kind of firing up those micro muscles. And then on your next exhale, bring it all down and shake it out. And we'll take a couple breaths here in pause, just noticing how it feels. Noticing where you feel it. Usually the hands are a really great place to feel the energy flow through the body. Excellent. Now we're going to step one foot forward and keep the other foot back. And it's okay if your hips are a little bit open here. So we're not going to force ourselves to square off our hips. We're going to keep them in a nice pelvic alignment so that the SI joint is protected. Pull that pubic bone up towards the navel, and the back foot has a slight turnout. Inhale, soften the front knee and float the arms up into a little warrior one. Exhale, return to standing. Legs are straight, arms come down. Inhale, float it up. Less is more on the bend. Exhale, bring it back down. Inhale, float it up. Soften the front knee and then hold here. As you exhale, you just kind of soften through the shoulders a little bit, but your knee is still bent. On your next inhale, you're going to feel like a reach, like you're reaching from the back heel through the fingertips. And exhale, just kind of soften. Belly draws in. Inhale, reach. Exhale, soften. This time, as you inhale, reach, also pick up the back heel and shift your weight forward. Notice how that changes it. And then exhale, back down with the heel. Inhale, reach, lift up the back heel. Weight comes into the front leg. Exhale, back. Inhale, reach, lift up the back heel. Exhale, back. This time we're just going to play around, so just have fun with it. Inhale, shift your weight, lift up the back heel, bring the knee up, and you can bring your arms down. Sometimes that opposition feels easy. And then step it all the way back, bend the front knee. Okay, it's a big movement. Inhale, bring that back knee up. Arms come down. Exhale, all the way back. Inhale, knee comes up. Exhale, leg goes back, bend the front knee. Last one. Inhale, knee comes up. And then we're just going to hold this for a second. Just kind of see how it feels. If you need to reach out and grab a wall or a chair, that's fine. And if you need to take your foot down, that's also fine. We're just going to take 2 more breaths here. And on your next exhale, step all the way back. Inhale here. And exhale, float the arms down and step your feet together. And take a pause, noticing how that feels. Noticing one leg versus the other. Just notice how it feels in your body to play with that balance and to play with keeping it small. It always amazes me how much we sweat in this class, even though we do it so small. Okay, we'll switch sides. Other foot in front. So whichever side you did last, do the other side this time. And really get firm first with the belly. So low belly draws in, pubic bone is lifting,
Tailbone is reaching towards the floor. It's okay if you have a little opening in the pelvis because we want to protect the SI joint. And on your next inhale, soften the front knee. Okay, and we're back. Hi, how are you? Doing it live. All right. Just a couple here. We do 3 times on each side. So inhale, float the arm up, both arms, and then exhale back down. Straighten the front leg. Same thing we did. Inhale, float it up, and this time we'll stay. As you exhale, think soften the elbow or the shoulders. Yeah, the elbows a little too. And then on your inhale, think reach through the fingertips and the back heel. The front leg stays bent. And exhale, soften. Inhale, finding that reach first. And exhale, soften. One more time. We're just kind of stretching through the line here. And exhale, soften. Then we'll play with the weight shift. Inhale, lift the back heel. And exhale, bring it back down. Inhale, lift the back heel. And exhale, just come back to your warrior one. Inhale, lift the back heel. Exhale, warrior one. And then we're going to bring the knee up. Inhale, shift the weight all the way. Knee comes up, maybe arms come down. Exhale, step it back. I like that change up with the elevation of the arms. It feels a little bit like, I don't know, like you grab somebody's face and you're going to kick them in the nose. I'm just kidding. Inhale, exhale, bring it all the way back down. And last one, we're going to hold. Inhale, bring it up. And then pause here and see how you feel. Maybe you need to reach out and grab something. Maybe you need to take your toe down. Just notice. Maybe your arms need to come out to the side to keep your balance. Making sure that you have that focal point can help a whole lot. One more breath. And exhale, step it back. Arms come up. Inhale here. And exhale, step together, lowering the arms. Taking a pause. Try not to move too much and just notice how your body feels. Maybe you can feel your shoulders. Maybe you can feel the spine or the pelvis. Okay, and we're going to come back down onto our backs and grab our strap. That was it for balancing today, although hopefully we'll have time for legs at the wall. We're going to work a little bit on engaging and aligning the SI joint, since that is such a huge place that people have issues. I like to work on this a little bit. So go ahead and find that nice connection with the pubic bone and the navel through your exhale first. And then we're going to bring up the right foot and loop our strap or our belt around the heel. So you want to put it on the back of your foot, onto your heel. And then take your foot up a little bit less than 90 degrees, actually. So instead of trying to bring it up towards your face, a little bit back further, and then pull. So you have that kind of little minor compression, and you can feel it on the back of your pelvis there. From here, we're going to find our natural turn. So you want to laterally rotate. You know what? I'm going to turn to face this way. Really late. So my toes are pointed straight, and we're going to just laterally rotate. And you'll know where your lateral rotation goes, because some people have a huge turnout and some people just don't. It just feels natural where your foot goes. From here, follow the point of the toe and just gently bring the leg back. So we're starting into the stretch here. Keep compressing down on the heel. And then to balance it out, we're going to bring up the opposite knee so that it's completely even with the straight leg. And you can use your hand here to hold. And you should feel a nice alignment across the back of your pelvis and a little bit of a stretch through the adductors or the hamstring on the straight leg. And you don't have to pull real hard.
Even if you're super flexy and you feel like you got to take your toes to the floor to feel a stretch, I encourage you to just start here. Feel that compression, and we're going to hold this for about 12 or so seconds. Okay, and then you'll soften the knee of the straight leg, removing the strap, bringing both feet down to the floor first, and we'll take a little pause. Notice how that feels. Notice one side versus the other. And then we'll bring up the other foot, putting the strap over the heel, so the left leg this time. Taking it back a little bit, about less than 90%. I don't know if that's the right word. 90 degrees. That's the right word, not percent, degrees. You know what I mean. And then notice this one. It may have a different turnout. So my left foot tends to turn out a little bit more than my right. It's just something to notice about your body. And then let your leg go in the direction of your toes until you feel the stretch in the hamstring or the adductors, and then bring the opposite knee up to the same alignment. Kind of that orientation will be completely even, and that helps really strengthen and stretch and kind of we rearrange our SI joint. We spend so much time really pushing it into the wrong direction. We're going to arrange it back to where it's supposed to be here. And I don't know why I said 12 seconds. That was so weird. I meant more like 12 breaths. Continuing to compress on the heel. And really, you should be able to let go of everything, and that leg package stays where it's at because the core is engaged here as well, which also helps protect the whole hip situation. Couple more breaths. And then gently soften the knee of the straight leg, release the strap, and let both feet come back down. We'll take a break here and just notice how that feels. Now engaging, you can put your strap down. Make sure you have your block close by, or a stack of books or something secure, or you don't have to use anything at all. You can have even just a nice folded blanket if you want to keep that close by. Take our hands and connect them to the floor. So just a nice and firm engagement with the mat. And the same for your feet. All four corners, you can spread your toes, really feel into that connection between the toes and the heels. And on your next inhale, engaging through the hamstrings and the glutes, press and lift the hips. Rolling up onto your scapula and your shoulder girdle. And then exhale, slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, press it up, noticing that shift in your body. And exhale, roll back down. Inhale up. Maybe you go a little bit higher with each one, and maybe not. That's okay too. Really just taking it nice and slow and noticing the muscles that you're using to lift it up. And roll back down. Two more. Last one. And then we're going to take just a short pause here to notice how everything feels after your last roll down. Don't move. There may be a temptation to bring your knees up to your chest or rock and roll and shift around or windshield wiper. Just notice that and really feel into the tingling, feel into the heat you've created. And then if you need to take some movement, go ahead and take a little movement. And then we're going to grab our block and inhale, press and lift the hips enough to slide your block up underneath and settle down, letting the sacrum soften over your block or your books, or what you can use a folded blanket or nothing. You don't have to use anything, because then we're just going to bring our legs up. Legs at the wall, and you don't have to straighten your legs all the way here. You can keep them nice and bent. You can keep them a little bit farther away. You can flex and point. You can wiggle your toes. Do whatever feels right for you. Really can help when your hamstrings feel tight to elevate the hips. So if this is a practice that you're doing right now on a consistent basis, I do recommend legs up the wall every day. It's a good way to end your day. So if you have a nighttime sadhana or a nighttime ritual, adding this, even if it's just for like 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes it's nice, just grab your phone and put your legs at the wall and play an app game or something, and just let that blood drain in the other direction, the lymphatic system drains. It really is so good for so many things in our body, so many systems, including our mental clarity. And it's a great way to end the day because you've spent all day upright. And instead of going straight into, horizontal, laying down, it's nice to do this legs up over your head. Couple more breaths. And then you can slowly lower your feet back down. I encourage you to go super slow and really tune into what your feet feel as the elevations change. It can be really interesting. And then press and lift, removing the block, and lower your hips down. Take a couple breaths here. Notice how it feels. My feet always get really cold when they come down. It's fun. And then maybe you want to bring your knees up to your chest. And you can practice the Apanasana that we did at the start of our practice, or you can just take some movement here if that feels good to you. We're going to find our final resting pose. So take your time and then settle in. It can be really nice to grab like a pillow or a couch cushion and keep it up underneath your knees as you straighten your legs out, especially to keep your low back in alignment. Turn your hands to face up. Take some space between your body and your arms and some space between your knees. Just take up a little room. It's okay if you hang off the edge of your mat a little bit. It can be good for you. I'm going to sit up so that I can talk. You stay in your Shavasana. And start to settle in first to your exhales, letting them deepen, lengthen. And we're going to just relax the body. Thinking about that balance in life. Even if you don't have a lot of time that you're taking on a daily basis to relax and really finding those spaces, something as small as once a week in a yoga class can still help bring you that sense of balance in your life. So bringing your awareness now into your feet, letting your feet totally let go, release any tension that they're holding down into the earth. Coming up through the shins and the calves,
intentionally letting go, maybe even visualizing any energy or anything that they could be holding on to, leaving the body, traveling into the earth or floating up into the sky, coming up into the knees, soften through the knees, tops of the knees, backs of the knees, both sides, left and right. Coming into your thighs, relaxing the quads, relaxing the hamstrings. And then into the pelvis, all through the whole pelvic bowl. Think about letting go of any muscle holding on there, your glutes, your pelvic floor, hip flexors. Release everything up into the belly. So hard oftentimes, especially for a woman, to really let go in her stomach. And we tend to hold a lot of tension there. So making that effort, intending to release all the way around to the back, to the spine where the transversus connects. Watching the breath move just naturally without any effort. Releasing up through the rib cage, up into the pectoral muscles, around through the back, into the shoulders, backs of the shoulders, around the scapula. Those weird floating wing bones that we have that are surrounded by connective tissue and muscle to keep them in place. Letting all of that release. And then into your shoulders, letting them melt like they're just melting into the mat beneath you. Continuing that melting all the way down each arm into your hands and your fingers, making sure we're not holding any tension there. Giving each arm and each hand attention. And throughout our relaxation, if your mind wants to wander, that's okay. Just notice it and bring yourself back to your body. All the way up into the throat and the back of the neck, where you can feel the air flowing through. And notice any tension that you're holding and just let it go. Releasing up through the jaw, around the ears, cheeks, and eyes, not just the eyelids, but the eye muscles, and into the brow. And then, like a wave crashing over you from the crown of your head down to your feet, just that overall sense of release, and melt into the floor. We're going to take just a couple minutes here to stay with the breath. And I invite you to make this a practice of witnessing the breath and allow thoughts to come in and leave. You can be aware of them as they come through, and then bring your focus back into your breath. We'll just do this for a couple minutes and I'll be quiet. Take a deep, full inhale, intentionally drawing in as much air as you can, expanding as deeply as you can. Pause at the top of the breath and exhale completely, inviting anything that was lingering to just leave the body, letting it go. One more time. Inhale completely, bringing in light and healing and love and peace. Pause at the top of the breath and exhale, intending all that is not serving you to just exit the body through the breath. Return to your natural breath and thank your mind for the thoughts that it brings to you. Knowing that just like your heart beats, just like your lungs breathe, your mind thinks. That's what it's supposed to do. And all we have to do to be a meditator is be okay with that. And now I invite you to stay as long as you would like to. Go to sleep, take a nap, Sunday afternoon. You don't have to go anywhere, do anything. Or if you're ready to get up, you can gently start to wiggle, start to stretch. Bring yourself back to the land of the living. And thank you so much for joining me today. It is an honor and a pleasure to share practice with you. Remember that we have little to no control over anything in our world and anything going on around us. But we always have control over our breath. So no matter what is happening in your day, in your life, you can always choose to turn inward and take a deep breath. Thank you again, Satnam. And I will see you on Tuesday at 12:30. And hopefully there are some more classes today. I think there's 2 more classes today here at Healing Arts Center and Community Online. Thank you for being here, Bunny. Have a great day. Bye.